Hi, everyone. This is Lara Nercessian, and welcome to the Boss in Heels podcast, where it is my job to speak with inspirational founders, CEOs, and other world-class performers to tease out their careers, mindset, routines, and more. I'm so beyond thrilled to be here for one seriously special episode. And just to set some context, this episode is actually a dream come true for me. I'm sitting here right now in one of the most out of this world locations, Rosedale Farm, with the one and only Steve Cordony. And it is a pretty glorious, cold, sunny day here in Orange. And we are just kind of sitting in the most dreamiest living room. Like, I feel like I'm in a movie, and it's pretty spectacular. So, who is Steve? Well, it's pretty hard to miss on Instagram, but Steve Cordony is a world-renowned interior and event stylist, known for his impeccable taste, stylistic videos, and ginormous floral arrangements. After he was awarded runner-up in Belle Magazines' prestigious Young Interior Designer of the Year award, should have won, it propelled him towards the world of editorial, where he quickly moved up the ranks to become the magazine style director at large. Steve has worked across a range of areas in the design industry where his talent and expertise has seen him create the most stunning and spectacular events and interiors for both personal and luxury corporate clients. Steve and his partner Mike have co-created the most magnificent home here at Rosedale Farm, and it has quickly become one of the most iconic and sophisticated country homes where Steve hosts his sold-out masterclasses and farm stays. Steve has built an incredible online following and presence, with currently close to 600,000 Instagram followers who swoon over his masterful creations. It's truly such a joy and privilege to sit down in person here at Rosedale Farm with someone who is not just a creative genius, but also just happens to be one of my favorite human beings. I'm freaking out. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my lovely. I'm freaking out.
I'm seriously so happy to be here. Like, it really is such a dream come true for me.
Thank you.
As we were driving up to the gates of Rosedale this morning and coming up to your beautiful property, I could not help but be brought back to that very first time that I came to Rosedale.
Yeah.
And I believe it was towards the end of 2020.
Yeah.
It was the middle of the pandemic, and you were hosting your first ever masterclass.
Yeah.
And I remember there being so many restrictions around what we could do at that time and how many people you could have. And I remember there being like something like 20 something tickets that you sold.
Yeah.
And I just knew in my body, like, I had to be here. Like, there was a big calling of just like, you need to get there. Like, you need to go.
Yeah.
And so I remember pulling up, and it was pouring with rain that day. It was like torrential rain.
Yeah.
But as I was driving up this like long, beautiful tree-lined driveway and like started to see the home and like the majestic, like it was like misty and just beautiful and dreamy, I was like, wow, like the photos don't even do this place justice.
Thank you.
And then I remember when I met you, I was like, whoa, I was just met with like so much warmth, so much graciousness, so much generosity. And in a weird way, I was like, you almost made me feel like I was just like at home.
Yeah. Oh, that's very sweet.
I wanted to ask you, like, what is like the driving force behind everything that you have created here at Rosedale, and you wanting to really like share this with the public and open up your home in the way that you and Mike have?
You nailed it. Because it's not so much anything that's tangible, and obviously that's a big part of what we've done here. But before any of that, it's an emotion, the intangible, the soul of a home, whether it's a country estate or an apartment in the city or a one-bedroom studio. It's always got to have that that soul and the personality of who lives there, what story are they trying to tell. And so for me, when you felt something, even at the front gates, that for me is, you know, that's number one. And then obviously it unfolds, and then you kind of move through the house, and there's all different things that, you know, are not by chance. You know, it's scent, and it's music, and it's and all those sort of intangible sensorial sort of things that I want to share with people. And so obviously the design of it is, you know, all very well considered, and you know, it's my passion to do all of that, but it's definitely for me always about the intangible and how someone is feeling within a space.
Yeah, I feel like you've really nailed that, because I think I may have shared this with you, but I remember feeling this enormous sense of sensory overload. I was like, I don't know what to look at. I don't know like what I'm listening to, what I'm smelling, like what I'm taking in, but it just feels incredible.
Oh, I love that.
And you made it look so effortless, but you know that there is so much that has gone on behind the scenes in order to create what you have.
Yes.
So how do you make it look effortless?
Do you know what? I think there's always a driving sort of force to create the most beautiful experience, space, design, dinner moment that I can, you know, even in the everyday, because I think there's so much in that why can't we just create something special when it's just, you know, Mike and I at home on a Wednesday evening at 6:30 when we're having dinner, like, you know, grandpa and grandma. But just those everyday things, I think, are kind of the small details that I think we're sort of missing. Like, you know, there's lots of big things, and we do a lot of amazing big things, you know. We're very fortunate to go on amazing trips and have, you know, incredible celebrations with families and dinners and all those kind of things. But I live for the small details, I think, more and more as I get older. I think when you're younger, and this is very true of what I used to be like, it was sort of like drive, ambition, you know, just keep on going, do more, be more, get more, all of that kind of thing. And now as I'm approaching 40, it kind of just completely does a 360 in essence of the little things, the moments of spending time with my family, nieces and nephews, Mike and I. Like, it's so rare that we're together just on the sofa watching a movie or in the car together driving somewhere, because we have, you know, this sort of bi-coastal life, and he's got his job, I've got mine. And so it's just always a lot going on. So the details I kind of live for. And that's what brings me joy, I guess. So.
I love that. I feel like that was one of the biggest things that I really felt was so much detail, and you're creating so many little moments in it. So when you actually look at something like Rosedale as a project, right, like it's just this enormous property, this beautiful large scale home, like you've got incredibly high ceilings, like, but it's actually, there's so much detail, and you've created all these little moments. Everywhere you look, there's something to catch the eye. And so like, I guess for someone who's like listening, who wants to maybe create a little bit more of this magic in their home or in the experience of their day-to-day life, like how would you advise someone to go about like starting to think about these kinds of things?
And this is the thing where I say, doesn't have to be a 6-bedroom house. It can be a studio apartment. It can be a terrace. It can be anything. Always start with, what is the intention that you want for that space? And I always go back to this very basic thing. And you've done a couple of masterclasses now. You're like the OG of the masterclass. I love you.
I'm like your like biggest fangirl over here, like #1 customer.
But I love it because it's almost like, and we've had lots of repeat people. You're the OG, like you've been there most times. But it's just nice because it's almost like welcoming family back to the house, right? But always start with a visual mood board. It is so basic, and it could be even like just a saved thing on your files on your phone, or it could be like a Pinterest board or whatever it is. But you will innately find the common thread between those images, all the things that you're gravitating towards. So start with that, and then everything else, you just build everything around that. Cool. For this particular property, I like black, white, monochromatic, lots of different textures. So within that, I still want to make people feel and have lots of different little elements, so the eye should never just sit and rest. It should always be traveling around any space. And so even within this room, there's so many sort of textual details and a lot of accessory things. But with the color palette, which is sort of like the next stage from like working out that concept, is like the color palette makes you feel a certain way. And it also allows you to kind of introduce all those textual elements, materiality. And so like in this room, for example, I've got linen, we've got jute, we've got ceramics, we've got marble, we've got brass, we've got gilt, we've got the chandeliers, we've got dark stained timber, we've got rattan, we've got these white walls, linen linen, curtains. So there's so many different details, but it's not overwhelming because the palette is quite neutral and monochromatic. And so anyone can create a space that feels sort of harmonious and holistic, but you have to start with that kind of first thing of how do I want people to feel and what is the concept for this space? I don't care if it's a bathroom, if it's a bedroom, if it's a hallway. What is the concept for that particular space?
Yeah, so beautiful. It really does. It really does immerse you into a whole experience, I feel.
Yeah.
Like when you come here, or whether it's been coming to Rosedale, being like in your home, or going to a masterclass that's like at another event in a store, or, something of that nature, there's a certain feeling that I feel like you create in these experiences. So it's not just about, just come over, but like even just when we were driving up your driveway today, it's like I couldn't help but notice you started playing music we could hear it as we were coming out of the car, and the speakers and the music. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like everything is an experience. You handed me a glass of water earlier, and it's like, it's not just a glass of water. It's like got this beautifully, like perfectly cut,
a
like lemon
is what they're called. I think you're referring to, Lara.
I think I may be. And it's just like everything is so considered. And so where was the moment that you realized in your life, like maybe it was like your earliest childhood memory, where you were like, oh, this is actually something that I'm good at, or I've got this talent?
I don't know if there was a moment. There was probably a few moments across, the sort of time span of, being younger, then school, then study, then career. But I think definitely, my mum was like always an entertainer, like, big sort of Italian Maltese family where always around family, always entertaining, celebrating every birthday, Christmas, Easter, whatever it was. And so that's been definitely instilled in me. From a home perspective, like my dad is in construction, he's got a building company, and then mum was interior decorator. So that was all very natural, I guess. And I remember when I was sort of like 15, 14 years old, mum and dad will go out. I would like pull everything out of their lounge room. I think I've probably told you this story before. And then like restyle it and bring it all in. And it was just something I would do. And like now that I think about it, and I only kind of really thought about this in the last sort of 4 or 5 years that I actually did this, because I kind of forgot. And then it just became part of like the masterclass story. But it sets everything up. Like that's what I do now. Like I move things from room to room in my house, like on a daily, like it's too much. Mark was like, oh my God, it's like too much, If I'm feeling creative and inspired, like I need something creative and that outlet, like at least every day, to just, it could be even just like moving a vase from there to there or, whatever. But my brain, that's how my brain works, So I think definitely growing up, I was inspired by the performing arts, and I did a lot of that when I was growing up. So I went to McDonald's School of Performing Arts on the weekend, and I did sort of things from like drama and dance and music and all that kind of stuff, and I was very into that. And I think a lot of the theatrical, emotive kind of response that I want from a space, or even doing the editorial, coming up through the editorial ranks and depicting trends and creating these beautiful whimsical sets in a photo studio for so many years with Belle, I'd always kind of want to bring in a sense of theatre, because especially for editorial, right, you want the reader to open the pages of a magazine and go, boom, I get it. I get what you're trying to tell me here. Even at a 2D kind of, picture, I want them to feel something from that. And so that definitely sort of heavily inspired what I do now. And even like with this particular property, like the emotion is like, I want people to feel like they're in a Nancy Meyers movie.
1000%.
Like, is this complicated? Is it something's got to give? Like, I just live for that, you know? Or am I you know, in a Parisian street, and I just want that kind of thing. And that was the emotive thing. So that wasn't really put down in any mood board, but that was just in the back of my head, that intangible thing. And so all of those things, I think, kind of combined to create and go into this creative sort of sector and creative arts. And I think that's probably where I kind of garnered all those sort of details and just the day-to-day things, you know, of like, how can we elevate the everyday? Because it doesn't take much. It's just like things that you just now, and I need a lemon cheek in my glass of water. You know what I mean? Lemon is great for you. It also looks chic. Yeah. And it doesn't take, it takes nothing.
Yeah. I feel like one of the things that I really learned from your recent masterclass in particular, or the Mother's Day event actually, which I brought my mum to. My mum says hi, by the way. She loves you.
So
she
sweet.
Loves you.
So gorgeous.
But one of the things that I really took away from that day was that it's like, don't save the good things for a special occasion, because every day is a special occasion, and you can create this extra elevation and just make everything that little bit more enjoyable. Yes. And I think that that is what you have really mastered in everything that you do, like whether it is a large scale project or whether it's just like a small interaction. It's like the attention to detail to create that. So it's not just a standard thing. It's not a standard experience, but you're actually not afraid to like use all the good things because they're there to be used. Yeah. And could you maybe like talk about like how you like actually like frame that up for yourself? Like what's the thought process behind that from your perspective?
Well, part started with sort of like growing up and mum being an entertainer and kind of bringing everything out. But she does put things away, and she's like, don't even go in next to that cabinet, because she's got like every cut glass from Waterford that have ever produced in this like antique glass fronted cupboard. And it's like locked. I'm like, well, we can get this out and we can use this, So she's like, she does it, but like, it's like, it goes back. But then, and this is like so funny because it's like, it's an Oprah quote. This is where it started from.
I love Oprah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Like she just said, use your good stuff. And that was when I was like, I watched it religiously when I was like growing up. And that's just stuck with me like since till now. And it just, I don't know. It just, why do we wait to use the things that make us feel good? And it seems really sort of, airy, but why can't I use a beautiful cut crystal glass in the bathroom as I have a sip of water before I'm going to bed, or whatever it is? We shouldn't wait to kind of use those elements, right? And I think for me, I just sort of try and use that within every day. And I think it just makes the little thing special. And not every day is like, I'm not bloody lemon cheeking at my water every time I'm sitting at the computer doing like 800 emails. But it just, if you have those little moments in your head, or if, it's even a scented candle or like incense, or like music is a massive part of my life. I have it on all the time. All those little detail things. Make my bed every morning, which like my mother would be like, what? You make your bed every morning? Like, yes, because it sets you up for the day. Just having those little routine, regimented tasks sets your day up so much more clearly, in a world that is just, there's so much going on all the time. If you have those little elements that are just the day-to-day, and it just, you don't even have to think about them really, you just actually have to do them, then you takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah, I love this conversation so much because so much of it rings true for me. Like I always think like at home, I'm like, if I've got a full work day and a full work schedule, I'm like, how can I make my home office just feel that little bit more enjoyable so that my work day feels more enjoyable? So like playing some like music, like lighting a candle, having a fresh like bunch of flowers on my desk makes the world of difference. And I feel like you really embody that, because like even coming here just on a Thursday, it's like you can see that this is actually how you live.
Yeah.
Like you actually live and breathe exactly what you put out in the world. When you actually put things on Instagram, these beautiful stylistic videos or like photos of Rosedale or like images of work that you've done.
Yeah.
But then you come here and it's like, it's just a Thursday. Like you don't have an event on today, but it's like, it's just as beautiful. That's just actually an extension of like who you are. And so I want to talk a little bit like about authenticity, because I think that this is something, especially in the world of Instagram and the digital age that we live in, where what we see is not always what we get. And so how did you really get to like lean into your authenticity and really like, whether it's finding your voice, finding your style, like finding who you really are, like, you know, how you feel, who you want to be.
Yeah.
What was that journey like for you?
Do you know what? It all starts with who you are and what you stand for, right? And so obviously styling and interiors and lifestyle and fashion and food and travel and all those sort of things, that makes up what is I'm most passionate about. And so when you find what you're most passionate about and when you hone in on that skill, and, you know, I started from pre-digital world, you know, as an intern for Belle Magazine, working for free for like a year and learning the ropes and working like 14, 16-hour days every day. And you just do it because you love it. It's your passion. And so starting from that learning curve, I think, and you take that into your everyday, right? And so for me, it shouldn't be about putting anything on. It should just be an extension of you. Of course, when I've got a shoot or a big masterclass and I've got people coming, I'm going to elevate that and I'm going to make it, you know, I'm going to amp it all up, because that's what you do when you have a birthday, a celebration, a wedding, whatever it is. You just, you amp it up, right? But I think there's a difference between doing something just for a particular shoot or to share with people and then sort of like completely packing that down and going home that something is completely different. And so it's definitely starting with your skill set. And I kind of changed tact around COVID time, I would say, because before that I was still doing lots of obviously styling, but it was sort of more in studio, advertising, editorial, because that was what it was going into. It was going into print, and then everything sort of shifted, and you have to shift with those times, right? And so COVID was a big thing. We sort of moved out here during all that time, and I just sort of started sharing things, and I thought, okay, what am I doing that people are engaging with? And how can I share what I love to do with my audience? And so shifting that perspective of doing, okay, I'm not shooting anything else that's going to be not at my house. And, you know, every night, like if I'm on travel or I'm doing different things, that's all fine, because that's part of an extension of what I'm doing at that particular time. But everything is going to be around my world. I don't want anything that's not authentic and anything that feels like it doesn't fit within my style. And so all these sort of different, and there's a lot to think about, right? But it's really comes down to who you are as a person, what you're passionate about, and what your skill set is. So those sort of things led me to go, right, I'm going to start sharing how to style a coffee table, a console, a bed, a bathroom vanity. And that all kind of went well. And I love doing it because I'm doing that anyway, because I'm restyling the house 800 times a day. But I just thought, let's just share that and show people and share my skill set. And that was kind of, you know, and we'll lead on to that with what I did with the masterclass. Is like, okay, how can I take that now from the screen into an adaptation of what I'm sharing on Instagram and what I do in my world as my work, but in real life with a beautiful event. And so, yeah, it's just staying true to who you are and sharing rather than kind of saying, look at me, I guess.
That's so beautiful. I did want to ask you about the extension of, you know, going from digital to then opening up your home in the way that you and Mike have.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people, and what we see a lot is people create really beautiful homes perhaps, but then they don't really share it with the world. They don't really share it with anyone. And not only are you sharing it with your nearest and dearest and your family and your friends and, you know, celebrating milestones and events here, but you're actually opening it up to perfect strangers
Yes.
in your home.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a big deal, you know?
Yes.
And so what was like the intention, the desire? Like, was this something that you and Mike discussed early on, that like we want to create this beautiful property, but we want to invite it, like share it with other, like what was that thought process like?
Do you know what? It wasn't sort of something I was thinking about from the get-go. So we bought it. We thought it'd be a really quick renovation. We'd get in, we'd have it on the weekend. Michael loves the garden, so he's outside. I obviously love the house. Great. Tick, tick, tick. It'll be something for us to do and create together. Then it kind of morphed over the years and turned into what it is now. But with the masterclass in particular, I knew that I wanted to do something in the event space, because I used to style lots of different friends for all different brands. And I love entertaining, right? It's just one of my favorite things to do in life. And so I actually didn't even think about everyone coming and from that point of view, because people, when they come, like they still go, how do you feel about people going through the house? And they go, can I walk upstairs? I'm like, yeah, this is a house tour. Like, you can go anywhere you want to go. But also even in the sort of first 3 years of having the place, like when our family and friends would come up, and we'd have people all the time, which was so nice, because it's like, oh, it's 3.5 hours away from Sydney. Are people going to come and visit us? And they did, because they just wanted, a little break and a getaway. But it was so nice seeing my nieces and nephews running around the garden, and, mum and my sister cooking in the kitchen. And this was before it was all done. It was like, it was pre-renovated, which wasn't, it was lovely, but it wasn't, it wasn't done.
What it is today.
It wasn't what it is today, exactly. Yeah. But it was just nice. Like, I even loved when we were getting the new kitchen installed, and we set up a kitchen on the back veranda. We had like a bucket with like water to wash up. We had a microwave. We had like a little kind of electric stove thing. And that was just part of that journey, like the renovation journey. Like after a month, I was kind of like, okay, like I need the kitchen. But all those different things, it was fun. And so sharing all those experiences with everyone is just what made me go, oh, I love when people come. And I think also flipping it to the people that do come for whatever reason, and it's very sweet, but everyone seems to just say, oh my God, like this is so beautiful. What a beautiful part of the world. What a lovely garden, house, whatever it is, which we never really thought about because we're just so busy working in it, right? They kind of remind us of what we've done, where we've come from, what we're doing. And I think it just innately happened organically. We didn't set out to kind of go, we're going to open up. Even the farm stays, we were like, we're just going to leave those there. And then we're like, this is a really beautiful space. I wonder if we could open those up as guest houses and have people come and stay. And that's been really lovely as well. And so it was born from, I think, people's reactions. And wanting to share it, because there's so many houses. Like, we love going to people's houses and seeing what they've created. And Michael loves seeing the gardens. And whenever we travel, we're like, right, where are the best open gardens? Where can we go? And I think about the people that I follow and kind of look up to in the design space. And I think if they had little things at their house where you could go, because when I first started the mask, I was like, why would anyone want to come here and walk through the house? You kind of have that thing in your head, right? And then someone said, would you love to go to like Nate Berkus's house or Kelly Worster's house? I was like, you know what? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. So I kind of get it from that point of view. And then it just kind of grew from there. And then now I just love creating these events and putting different spins on them and sharing these days with people. And then you meet people like you and like, we're now friends, and it's just a nice human connection that is born from what I do.
From that very first day, it was like, whoa, okay, not just is this property so beautiful, but there's something really special that has been created here. And it was like, even the kinds of people that were here were just so beautiful. And everyone was so happy to be here. And everyone was just like I feel like so respectful as well, because it's like, it actually feels like a privilege to come into someone's home whose work you've admired for so many years. Like, I don't even know how many years. It feels like such a treat from the consumer's side and perspective to be like, wow, what a privilege it is to like not just get to look at these beautiful, pretty photos on Instagram, these
Yeah.
really cool, like incredible stylistic how-to videos, which like I love,
Yeah.
but it's like, whoa, I get to come and like feel it. And that's the thing. It's like, it's a different feeling when you're here in person. And it's like, no photo could do that just like that feeling justice.
Too sweet. Yeah. And a lot of people say that, which is really lovely. And I think even before, so the very first time we turned up to view the property, which is, 6.5 years ago, we felt the same thing. And everyone always says, when you find the right place, you just know intrinsically inside. And I think the conversation shifted when we were just standing at the back of the dam. We weren't talking like, oh, what do you think? How are you feeling? Do you think this is the right idea? We were talking like, I think we should probably do that garden bed first, and then maybe we'll start with, opening that section. And we just talking like we had, owned it. And this is the very first time we had seen the property. And so I think that just, inside you, right? But even that first experience, there was something about it. And, and it's a beautiful part of the world, and there's beautiful, surrounded by beautiful gardens and trees and all that kind of stuff. So that obviously lends itself, we love nature. But I think you feel it. And it's not just this property. There's so many places that you can feel. But that was definitely one of the telltale signs of like, this is meant to be.
This is the one.
Yeah.
And I want to maybe switch gears a little bit, because I kind of want to talk about like you, and I want to talk about like, what is it like to live like a day in the life of Steve Cordony?
Yes.
Because like we came up here this morning and you'd like done your whole routine and you'd been to the gym, and like you're making your like morning smoothie and like all of these like really beautiful things. And I'm sure that in your world, probably no 2 days are exactly the same. No. And you're always dealing with different projects, and maybe some days you're in the city, some days you're based here in Rosedale. But like, what does a typical kind of day look like, and how do you really love to start your day up?
Being a creative, for many, many years, I've just been like all over the place, right? I just like get up and I go, or like I used to stay up really late, work, because that's when I like my creative juices were firing. Then I met Michael, and he's so routine, more routine than anyone that I ever know. Like he wakes up at 5 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
5:30.
Like me. Yeah.
Early. And I was like, no. I'm waking up at like 7, 8 o'clock every day. He'd take the dog for a walk for an hour, come back, go to the gym, go to work, come home, take the dog for another walk, cook dinner, bed at 9:30.
Yeah.
And that has been like with obviously, with some fluctuations along the 14 years of our relationship, that has been him. I'm like, sometimes I'm up here. Sometimes I'm in bed at 1 o'clock and I'm up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Then I'm at bed at 6, like just all over the shop.
Yeah.
So he's instilled that in me, which is great. So now I go to bed pretty much like 9:30, 10 most nights. Wake up at about 6:30 most mornings. I always start, and this is only in the last 2 years, I'm going to say this. And this is sort of, through a lot of different things happening work-wise, being way too stressed out, just sort of not really enjoying it because I was kind of had too much going on and not being present in my actual world. And so I was like, I need to start with me, like, at the deepest core, without sounding too woo-woo, but I just kind of really went down that path, and I kind of love it now. And so, I got a meditation mentor, and I did acupuncture, and I met this kinesiologist, Matt Burke, and just did all the things, Ayurvedic detoxes and retreats in Byron. I just kind of wanted to learn and try so many different things and see what would work for me. And I probably went a bit too hard. But now I've kind of taken those things that I think work for me, right? So I meditate every morning when I wake up. So 20 minutes in the morning, and then in the afternoon or the evening before I go to bed. So, and I've probably missed like probably 7 days worth in the last 2 years since I started.
That's amazing.
Which is like, for me, who was like all over the shop, like I'm in the city, I'm in the country, I'm traveling, I'm like, it was just everything was all over even my eating patterns. And then coming back to that routine thing, and I was actually talking to Lockie, my trainer, this morning about routine. And so even though, I eat really well, and, we've got like a great veggie garden here, and I try to do organic things and as much as I can, and smoothies and all that kind of stuff, which I genuinely love, it just depends on my day. So now we're working really on that. So 6:30, get up, meditate for 20 minutes, go to the gym, come home, usually check emails, do any calls I need to do with the team, and then get ready for the day, whether I'm shooting, whether I am working on any projects just at the computer. Then the afternoon I had a shoot. Then I went to do a grocery shop. Then I cooked dinner, did social stuff because I kind of usually post around 8 o'clock, had some tea, and then, meditate and bed.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but it changes. Like that's the thing. Like if I'm in the city, I try to kind of still get up. The meditation is the one
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. It's never going to be perfect. There's always times that, I travel, so I'll go away and I'm like, I am going to eat dessert 3 times a day, or I'm going to whatever it is. But I think you come back, you get back onto that routine because that takes a lot of the day thinking out of those everyday things that you don't have to really worry about. Then you can kind of work on the things that you need to actually give the energy towards.
Exactly. I love this conversation so much because I'm obsessed with routines. And I feel like what's really cool about a routine is that people often feel like it sounds really restrictive to them, but it's like if you don't like the word routine, you can call it like a morning flow. Or like you can call it whatever you want. But
Absolutely.
It's like the series of like predictable things that you do every morning that just, when you do them, you feel so much better for it.
Yes.
And it really just sets your entire day up for so much success.
Correct. Even making the bed thing.
Yeah, huge. I can't leave my home in the morning without making the bed. Like that's like the number one thing for me. Yeah. All those little things. It's like it's aesthetically more pleasing, but it's also like the first task of the day is done. I have to ask you about I told you I love details.
Yes.
Your favorite smoothie and what kind of coffee do you have?
I'm going to tell you the smoothie podcast.
The smoothie
because I will talk about smoothies for like 2 hours.
Like Steve's smoothie show. Maybe you should do like a Steve's
Lara
smoothie
and Steve's
series.
smoothie series.
I freaking love it.
Okay, so I've got 2 on my repertoire. I've just kind of gone into this new one, but I'll start with my OG, which is the green smoothie. So all organic, but you have to do all organic.
Is it from your
no? Some of it, yeah. Okay. So all the greens that I put in there, there's still, even though it's winter, there's still like lots of kale, which is amazing, and chard and rainbow chard, which is awesome. So I'll do banana, dates, almond milk. I will do.
What kind of almond milk?
Nutty Bruce.
That's the one I use.
It's my favorite.
Yes. Okay, good.
Absolute favorite. I put lots of greenery in there. So chard or kale or baby spinach or whatever it is. Then I'll have wild blueberries just from the freezer. And is that it? And then I'll put my probiotics, prebiotics, collagen, whatever I've got.
Cinnamon?
I don't do cinnamon.
You don't use cinnamon?
No, sometimes I've got these really beautiful spreads from the Whole Foods Refillery, which is this awesome brand. And they've got like cashew nut butter and almond butter and cinnamon donut spread, which is like this kind of all organic, healthy stuff, but it tastes like
tastes incredible.
Amazing. So every now and then I'll mix that up, but that's kind of like my staple. And then the one that I had this morning was actually banana, gluten-free oats, almond milk, that sort of nut butter thing, collagen, probiotic, prebiotic, ice, and that's it. And that's like I feel like that's my naughty smoothie because it's like a little bit kind of like sweet and like chocolatey. And then protein powder. Vegan pea protein.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And do you have coffee in the morning?
Very rarely. Very rarely. Like I'll have it if I need a little bit of a kick, but I try not to. Maybe do it like middle of the day, but I'm not like. I like coffee, but I'm not like wedded to it. Okay. Like I'm not like I need this to get me going. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it just depends. Depends on the day.
Depends on how you feel on the day.
Or if I'm at a restaurant, then yes, it'll be like a post-lunch thing or even potentially dinner. It doesn't kind of like affect me that much. But I don't need it to like kickstart my day. Yeah. Like there's days that I will, but it's like not a non-negotiable.
It's not a necessity in your life. Yeah. I love that. I
don't rely on it to get me going.
I can tell you this, like last week I had to go the whole week without coffee because I got my teeth whitened and you're on this white food diet for like a couple of days.
How did you feel?
For the first day, I had the most splitting headache and the shakes, and I was like, this is really not a good sign. Yeah. I need to have at least one day a week that I'm not taking. It's just
you know
not,
what you need then?
good.
A straw.
Yeah, I know.
And just
but I think I need to like wean I only have one a day, but I'm like, it was just like.
And 1 or 2 a day is absolutely fine. Like that's kind of like the
I
normal
really
thing.
enjoy it though. Do you know what I mean? Like I have
I love the ritual of that.
I do.
Like going out to a cafe or even creating like, we've got coffee machines everywhere and like just creating that little thing.
Yeah.
Like that little, that's a ritual.
Is. It's like I savor the moment. It's like a moment in my morning where I'm just sitting. Usually I'll go sit out in the sunshine and I've got like the morning sun on my face and I'm like slowly sipping. It is a dream. So, but maybe I need to, replace that with one of Steve's shakes.
So you can do both. You could make like a little, espresso martini smoothie. But like ditch the alcohol for the morning.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm going to add that to the repertoire.
Totally.
What about self-care rituals? Like what is your favorite ways that you really like look after yourself, take care of yourself? Like from even like a typical self-care perspective, but even just like how you recharge yourself as well with everything that you've got going on.
So the biggest thing, and these are the things that like, I think pre 2 years ago of me like kind of being really stressing like, oh my God, I need to change something in my life. It was always like go. Oh, I need a massage or I need to go away and just sit on a beach for like 5 days. And it was always like run, stop, hard. But now I integrate it almost into my daily life, right? So then I don't feel like, I used to say, babe, I just need to go away. I've been working for 4 months, like nonstop. I'm so burnt out. And it was just like this kind of cycle of up and down. And it just is not, it's not healthy. And so 2 years ago when I started, on my little wellness journey, I just realized that it needs to be integrated into your daily, weekly, monthly world, right? And so from the granular, it's the meditation like we mentioned. I love a bath. And with magnesium salts, magnesium flakes, you got to have the magnesium flakes. And then, whatever bath oil or whatever I put in, essential oils. Like I love just having my diffuser on and it's like lavender and it's, tea tree and it's, vetiver, whatever it is, bergamot, all those different things that I love to create like the scents because that kind of like charges me up. But then I love obviously training, infrared saunas. I'll do that sort of as many times as I can. And then like I love skincare, have always been into it ever since. Like my skin was quite bad when I was young and growing up. And so that was always this thing that was in my head of like, oh my, and it was my one self-conscious thing. Well, and my feet. As I put my feet away.
Yeah. But you're always number one. You're always barefoot.
Because I don't know why, but I hate, like I love shoes, obviously, but I don't like wearing shoes and socks. Like I love just being barefoot. I don't know if it's a grounding thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Anyway.
Grounding is incredible though. Like do you just walk around the farm barefoot like outside all the time? Most of the time, that's so great for you.
I love it. Like it's cold at the moment. So I'm like, I'm into my shoes. But I love it. So that and then just give myself like a facial. Like or going to have a massage, like if I can, but even like an at-home facial, like I'll do a steam kind of thing with my face and then I'll put in a mask or do like an exfoliating thing and then put on some beautiful serums and even that ritual. And I used to do it every Sunday and I haven't done it for a couple of weeks. But those little things I can integrate into my everyday have made such a difference. It's just a big part of my world now. And it goes hand in hand with my space and how I live. Like it's an extension of you, right? If you're feeling your best, and it's not even about the looking thing. And I think growing up for all those years, it was a look thing. It was a vanity thing. Now it's like, I want to feel like the best that I can feel inside. And it doesn't happen every day. Like sometimes I get up and I'm like, I'm exhausted and I'm not feeling creative and I just want to sit around and do nothing. And every now and then I will do that, because that's absolutely okay. But prior to like this, I would always feel so guilty, so guilty. And then it doesn't help when you've got like Energizer Bunny as like a partner who does not stop, literally like 24/7, cannot sit still.
Yeah.
But I love my downtime, even if it's a Sunday in front of the fire and I'm just on the sofa and I've got a magazine or a book, or even if I'm scrolling, I try not to do that too much. But even just that and having that brain of like, do what you want to do, be a sloth for, a few hours or the day, whatever it is, because you're entitled to that.
Yeah.
And then, the next day you get up and you feel different. Because every day is different.
It is. It's really that permission piece. I feel like for a lot of us, especially when you grow up and you are just kind of like this high performing, like A-type personality, which is all about achieve, do.
Yep.
And it's actually not normalized within our body, within our nervous system, that actually you're allowed to have a sloth day, and you're actually giving yourself the permission to do that, because you're going to be more effective. You're going to be more productive. When you do get back into your work, you're going to be really focused and present with what you're doing, as opposed to constantly pushing and using this force to do this, and we end up burning ourselves out.
But also feeling bad about it.
The guilt.
Like the guilt of, and I used to feel that all the time because I was like, go. I was always a yes person. I would never say no to anything. And that's what led to my burnout. And it was gradually coming. So your body every now and then, when it knows something's going on, it will give you a little tap. Then it will give you a little hit. And then it will give you a punch, and then it will give you a slap across the face. And I was about like a kind of punch, I reckon. And I had to kind of give into that and go, okay, what am I doing that is not making me the best version of myself that I can actually give to everyone? I was like, oh no, but I'm giving to everyone. And I'm doing the best that I can. And I'm working so hard for these different brands and people and whoever it is. And then we were renovating, and it was around that time because we were just like literally working full time, renovating full time. You were churning through funds because we wanted to make this the best it could be. So then you're working extra hard to kind of do that. So it's all of your own doing, but it had to kind of come to a point, and it did, absolutely. And then you have to kind of reconfigure your whole world, and it just always starts with you. And a lot of people think that's selfish because you have to look into yourself, but if you don't look inside yourself and go, right, how am I feeling, am I the best version that I can be, then you can't actually give that to anyone else.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right?
It actually is.
You have to start with you to look inside yourself and make sure that you're feeling the best you can. Then everything just falls into place.
Absolutely.
And you can give the best version to family, friends, partners, work, colleagues.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that if you're not good to yourself first, then you're not going to be able to be good for everyone else. Like no one else is going to be able to get the best version of you. And so all of these little ways of actually giving to yourself and, filling up your own cup first before you then clock on to doing the client work and the running around and, responding to everybody else's demands and requests of you. It's like I can actually have so much energy to do those things when I filled up my cup first.
Yes.
And that's been like such a huge thing for me. I suffered from burnout as well. Like I got the physical symptoms of it. Like, every now and then I would just crash and burn. And it was like, this is just not a sustainable model.
No.
And there is a better way. And it feels like you and I have actually both gone on such a similar journey with this because like I really just believe in like instilling those little moments of self-care throughout my day through like the morning routine, going for it, having a break, going out for a long walk outside in the sunshine around lunchtime, like really protecting your peace, protecting your space. I wanted to ask you, like, how do you really deal with that now? Like, what are some of the tools or strategies that you've put in place to really protect your peace, whether it is around, you putting your phone in a different room in the evenings, or just like learning how to kind of say no in a more, graceful way for things that are not aligned to you?
Totally. And I think all those decisions become much easier when you work out how you feel and when you're so much more comfortable inside yourself and say no or, really trust your instinct. So before I worked on myself, and it took a lot of time, right? But before that, I was just, like I said, yes, pleaser. Yes, we'll do everything. So working on that and not feeling guilty about it. I think a lot of people hear all these sort of things and go, yep, cool, no, I got to work on myself, but they just don't. And for whatever reason, like, they've got family, they've got kids, they're trying to be the best person they can to everyone else, but not themselves. It really starts with you. And it's those little things, like you said, and not every day I'm like the bloody Dalai Lama of wellness. Some days I'm just like, do you know what? And even with my meditation, those days that I kind of missed, it was like, I'm just so tired tonight. I just want to go to bed, or I actually just don't want to sit up and I just want to, go to bed. And that's totally fine. And so all of those little things, like the no phone by the bed, try to do it like an hour before going to bed and even in the morning, and I feel so much better for it. And but it's so hard because, like you were saying, like it's so addictive.
It is.
And it's just such a huge part of the world. But now I go, no, I put that away. And the meditation is great because that's 20 minutes I know just before I'm, about to go to bed that there's nothing on. And I light a candle and, have whatever on. And some people will go, oh my God, that sounds like a kind of hippie woo thing. But I just love those little elements, and it's like, cool, candle on or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it just makes me go, okay, shut down. This is time for me. But, some days I'm really good and I'm like, boom, 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 got all these things in a line. But then sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I forgot to train today. And, I've been sitting down too much at the computer. But that's okay too, because then you kind of go, okay, well, before bed, I'm just going to stretch for half an hour.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is for you, And I had chronic pain at that time. Like, when I was going through that kind of stressy time and everything was just sore. And I just had these sharp pains and no one knew what it was. And I got every test you can imagine under the sun. And it was just like, just nothing. But it was just those things where you go, oh God. And that's your body telling you, hey, let's chill. For 6 months, I just didn't get it. And I was like, no, I'm dying. I was about to fly to LA to see this brain doctor.
Wow.
Who I saw Kendall Jenner talk to and Miranda Kerr. I was like, right, I got to see him.
Yeah.
He's going to find the thing that's inside me.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Dr. Armin.
Yes.
So I was like, no, I got to go
incredible.
See him. Amazing.
Yeah.
And I still actually want to do it, but now I don't go it as like, oh
Not
my God, what are you
from a
going to
panic
find?
state.
I want to go from, I'm really interested in this. I'm so into all of these things now. But and,
more from a place of optimization.
Correct.
Rather than like scarcity or just fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what it was, really. It was the fear of like, what is it? And if you trust your gut, like there's something, and you should, do regular testing and all that kind of stuff, right? I am no doctor by any means. But I think you kind of know, and I'm just on this journey now of like finding things that are like that work for me.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I love how you've really gone on this journey, and now you really get to really live the benefits of it because you just feel better and you feel like you trust yourself so much more as well. You learn to listen to these signs of listening to your body as opposed to constantly overriding it. And I think that that's a really powerful internal wisdom that all of us have if we actually just like kind of block out the noise and like go inwardly through meditation or through other practices, which actually allows you to just get back to you and connect back to you. And it's like at the end of the day, it's like, isn't life really about you getting back to the essence of who you really are and living your true, authentic self and like living out your fullest, highest expression of you? And I think that is what you really encapsulate so beautifully, Steve, like in everything that you do and in everything that you create. It is just coming from such that authentic place of truth, and this is just who you are, and you really feel that, and it's really, really special. So
thank you, sweet.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I wanted to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions
I love rapid fire.
before we wrap up.
Yep, love it.
The first question I wanted to ask you is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self?
I would say things change and things shift, and listen to your gut instinct. Because I think I always kind of, it would come up and it would tell you, and you would go, no, just like keep on pushing that down. And that was lots of different things that I think the number one thing was sort of like not being out and kind of not, being able to live my true authentic kind of self. And that kind of, I think if you don't feel that as a person, you can't really change and grow and move and change. And I think everything happened after that. It was like 25 and I met Mike, and then everything just sort of bursted, in every facet of my world, right? And so I think just listen and also know that things change and shift and evolve, and you're going to have some great times, but also some not so great times. And you see so many things online, you feel like you've got to be up all the time and like, oh my God, why not? It's like the happiness trap, right? And so now I take the good with the bad, and I try to be content with every moment. And look, I'm not great at it all the time because you're not supposed to.
Okay, next rapid fire.
Yeah, that wasn't very rapid,
question.
sorry. Okay, I'm going to be quick
okay.
this
You know
time.
what? You can be as long or as quick as you want. Like, I got all day. Like,
Love it. Love it.
Okay,
Love it. Love it.
question 2 is what habit, routine, or ritual has most positively impacted your life?
Meditation.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
That's easy. We're talking about it the whole time.
I know. And you were talking about the fact that you do transcendental meditation as
Correct.
well. Yeah.
So I've got a mantra and I use that, and I do breathing exercise before that. I actually use a app called Insight Timer, and it's awesome. So even if you just don't use it as a timer, you can do the kind of guided meditations, and they're awesome. And I started with that. But now I've done a course and I actually really love it. So that definitely is number one. It just gives 20 minutes to your brain to just, and you know, I think a lot of people ask me and they're like, oh, how do you do it though? My brain doesn't stop. I'm like, sometimes I'll be sitting there and I am designing a room. Like in my head, or like planning like my birthday party or whatever it is. It's like, it can be whatever it needs to be. Not one meditation I've ever had over the past 2 years has been the same. Like literally, sometimes I'll feel like I'm floating. Sometimes I feel like I'm sinking into the chair. Sometimes I'll be like zhuzhing flowers in my head. Like it's just whatever it needs to be.
The other question I wanted to ask you is, what is the best investment that you have ever made?
My team. Because I used to do everything by myself. Everyone's like, oh, have you got a team of like 20 people? I was like, no, just me. Because I was a complete control freak. OCD, no one could do anything as good as me, and which is obviously not true, but that's how I used to. No, I need to be in control of this all the time, every 5 seconds. And so investing in that and the time to find that, because like I'm never going to find anyone that's going to be passionate about my business and blah blah blah. And I did. You can't do it all yourself, and that's obviously true of what I did because I was going through all those times of like, and I feel like I'm dying. So you know, you need to kind of grab that support sort of system, which is number one.
I wanted to ask you, like, what have you gotten better at saying no to?
Things that aren't aligned with my passion, and things that I felt guilty to say no to because I'm going to hurt someone's feelings, or maybe you feel like you're going to, if I say no to that, I'm never going to get booked by this company again, or whatever it is, right? But unless I felt passionate about it, unless it was a good decision in terms of brand and business, and it's okay to say no, because you're not going to miss out on things, because sometimes even if it's a brand that you say no to and you think you're not going to get a call up from them again because it doesn't work right for that time, they'll come back. They want you more. And
I wanted to ask you, out of all of the things that you do, what is the number one thing that you want to be remembered for the most?
Oh, it's like, this is your life.
It's loaded.
I know. Do you know what? I always used to say like, oh my God, why am I getting so stressed about this? I'm not saving lives. I'm not like a brain surgeon or a doctor or whatever. But then someone said to me, but you kind of share how to create a space that make people feel good on a daily basis. I was like, do you know what? I'll take that, because that's probably my number one thing, right? I love creating spaces, experiences, moments, events that take people to a different place. And even just for like a couple of hours or whatever it is, or it's like a beautiful dinner that's set, the emotive response from what I am creating, whatever that is probably the main thing, I think. Yeah.
And like, what is coming up next for you? Like, what can you share and what can you talk about that, you know, people who want to maybe like come into your world?
We're about to launch in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to do a Christmas in the City workshop series.
Oh my gosh.
Which is very exciting. So we're going to do different events over the course of 3 days in the city. And they're sort of still small groups, but we've got different people coming in, like a florist and a sommelier and all that kind of thing. And it's going to be Christmas themed, and there'll be a giftorium so you can buy all these amazing things and, you know, get ready for Christmas, and masterclass, tablescaping, food, champagne, get your Christmas portrait, all that kind of stuff. So something that we've never done before, but like super excited. And then we'll do another Christmas masterclass end of November at the farm, because I just love doing things. And we've got the new pool area, and we have never done actually a Christmas masterclass. So this will be the very first Christmas masterclass, which we'll be doing, which is exciting.
I need to come for that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
you're going to be able to teach them soon. You'll be like, hi guys, welcome. This is my masterclass. I'm Lara. You know, this is how you style a table.
I will like co-host like my little part of it. And like, I'm like literally here for life. Like I'm in for life.
I love it.
And people can maybe stay tuned with like buying tickets for these things, like on Instagram, website. Like
we're going to launch it.
Yeah.
So probably we're just working out the nuts and bolts and all the special guests and the dates and everything, because there's a lot going on at the end of the year. So yes, we'll be announcing on social, EDM website, all that kind of stuff in the next probably couple of weeks.
Yeah. And the farm stays people can book via like the Rosedale Farm website and Airbnb directly as well.
Yeah, either or. Which is exciting. And that's been actually really nice too. Like everyone's so lovely. Like I think because I've been following the journey as well, and like just the stories that we just hear, like it's just so nice. I'm like, oh, we're renovating too, and I've got so much inspiration, and I just want to come and be here and you know, live it, and I've loved doing that. Like I want to be a hotelier now. Like it just gives me so much like joy. All the details, like what hand soap are we going to use, and like what are the flowers on the side table going to be, and like what books and what food offering and what like coffee. Like it just
I love that.
It's so fun.
It's incredible. Like what you've created, irrespective of whether it is like a masterclass, like, you know, the farm stay is just like, it is such a special experience. It is just such a masterpiece, like what you have created here at Rosedale. And I just wanted to say, like, thank you so much.
Oh my God, thank you for coming out. I love this.
I have loved every minute of it. Like this has really been like such a dream to do this with you. I just like love, adore, appreciate you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always just going to be like
the
showing
OG.
I think your mum even said to me, she's like,
she's obsessed with you.
She's like, Lara, like you're literally like the number one class. Like,
you are now the second daughter that I never had.
I know. I feel like I'm like part of the family. It's like, I love your mum. I love your family. I love Mandy. Like all of you are so awesome. So thank you so much for doing this with me.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to everyone for listening. Bye for now.